Hey, what's up, everybody? Lawler here, your inside source for all things Rocket League. A couple things to talk about with a Japanese football club joining the Rocket League scene, as well as the grid. We had our first week of Europe for the winter split go down, talking about how the groups played out as well as the results. And we get to take a look at the playoffs bracket and kind of show the predictions for that. But before we get into that, as always, if you guys enjoy the content, make sure you guys give it a thumbs up, as well as making sure to hit subscribe and turning on notifications so you don't miss out on any of the notifications for when the videos end up dropping. Also, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, as always, drop those down below and I'll do my best to get to those in a timely fashion. But with that said, let's get straight into the video. So first things first, if you guys haven't seen the news, Verdy Esports, or Tokyo Verdy Esports, is the first Japanese football club to be entering into Rocket League. They primarily announced that they are picking up Realize. The last time we saw Realize was back at DreamHack Montreal, where they tried to compete for the first time internationally. Really nice guy from everybody that got to talk to him, from all the stories that I heard. I've gotten chances to play with him as well. But it's good to see that he's being picked up. There was rumors of him possibly moving to OCE now that Hawk, the OCE stud, is now eligible to play in the RLCS, so I don't know what's happening with that, but glad to see that he has some representation from a pretty well-respected organization in Tokyo. For RLCS Season X Winter Split, the Grid EU Week 1, still got to find a way to say that faster, is officially underway. We have our 16 teams from the grid in Europe finally playing out their matches, and as a reminder, with the new bracket update, we have 16 teams, and they are in 4 groups of 4. In Group A, you've got Guild, Giants Gaming, Endpoint, and Wolves Esports. In Group B, you've got Redemption, Renault Vitality, Galaxy Racer, Triple Trouble. In Group C, you've got Team Liquid, Oxygen, Fadeaway, and Team Singularity. And in Group D, you've got Team BDS, Top Blokes, Rix.GG, and Dignitas. Initial thoughts when we talked about this: it was surprising to see both the first seed and the 4th seed in the overall standings in the same group for Group D. Not exactly sure why they didn't take Top Blokes and move them to Group C and then move Oxygen over or something like that. That to me was pretty weird. Not exactly sure how they decide the seeding on that or why they put those guys together, but the big thing to remember is that none of these teams get eliminated. I'm going to be breaking this down in 2 different parts. We're going to go through the groups, the results, how things played out, as well as then going into the final bracket, which will be played today when this video ends up dropping. You're going to see all of these teams playing in a single elimination 16-team bracket. Win and go on, lose and you go home. So pretty straightforward for that. So let's get into the first part. We're going to talk about Group A first. We got Guild, Giants, Endpoint, and Wolves. This was done in 3 different rounds where each team plays each team in a round robin. And we had Giants and Wolves play up against each other right away. Wolves looked like they had a potential chance to win this one, but they just kind of fell short. They had a lot of promise from what it looked like, but I think the best part out of all this is you are really seeing Giants solidify themselves as a top 3 team in Europe, behind probably Vitality and BDS. You can basically organize those however you would like. Obviously BDS at the top, but there is moments where Giants does look like a team that can push into it, which is very similar despite the new addition of Itachi. The man goes for things like crazy, very similar to me like Alpha, where he hits any flip reset he wants. He's been getting a lot more creativity in his playstyle on offense, but a lot of pressure being provided and a little bit too much sometimes. They overexert themselves and can get punished for that. For those reasons, you end up seeing them lose later on. But we'll get to that when it does. We then had Guild and Endpoint go up against each other, and we weren't sure what Guild was going to get. I've been pretty critical because I wasn't sure on what Guild was going to develop into with the loss of Scrubkilla. I never really felt that Scrubkilla fit their playstyle all that well. Nolly and Though look great, and Nolly, again, is an absolute stud and probably gets most of the attention on that team. But with Devo on there, Devo has been a player that throughout his entire career has had difficulties being the star without really solid support, and now he's not really had to do that. He can kind of sit back and watch things develop, but then take his time and do stuff and really punish, and you get a little bit more solo play, a little bit more dribble out of him. His defense has been absolutely stacked, so Guild is looking like a really good team. They do end up going 3-0 on the day, but with a +4 game differential, the games were close. Every single game but one goes the distance to 5, so this could easily be a 1-2 Guild versus a 3-0 Guild, but at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is you get the win, so congrats to Guild in that regard. The first match against Endpoint, 3-2, a very close one there. They then immediately play Wolves after, and they end up winning that one. A lot more scoring on their end on that side, so that's good to see that they can put the ball away. This is something they struggled with a lot in the past, was getting goals and keeping a lead. They do a good job of that in round 2. And then in round 3, they end up going up against Giants. This was the big surprise. This one came down to the wire. We go to OT in game number 5, and then right off the kickoff, a couple seconds later, Guild scores and closes it out. So big surprise there, but Guild giving themselves the first seed in Group A. As a reminder, this is no eliminations. It is not the top 2. It is all 4. So we'll get into the seeding and how that works after we get through all the groups. We then go to Group B, and as a surprise, right at the very beginning, we start off the day with Redemption versus Reno Vitality. Vitality loses. Take that in for whatever it is, but Redemption 3-0 on the day with a +3 game differential. This group was extremely close. With the team going 3-0, that means another team has to go 0-3 essentially, unless they have a 3-way tie. But Triple Trouble does go 0-3 here with a -4 game differential. And the thing that you need to pay attention to is in every single one of their games, it was extremely close. 3-1, 1-2, 2-3 OT. And then the last game, Galaxy Racer blows it open. You then go against Redemption. 4-1, 1-3, 2-1, 1-2, 1-2 with another OT. You then have Triple Trouble go up against Vitality. And yes, Vitality starts a strong 6-1, 5-1. But then they bounce back. 2-1 overtime. 2-1 again. And then in game 5, so they almost get reverse sweep. They do keep it to a 1-goal game. So they had a rough start, but if they didn't, like Triple Trouble possibly could have won it. So it's interesting to see how close this group really was. I wasn't sure on who was going to end up on top. I didn't think it was going to be a Redemption. I think they'd be kind of the dark horse. Them and Wolves were both my dark horses for the day. But I did not have any expectation whatsoever of Redemption being 3-0. Vitality, again, slow starting. This kind of concerns me. This is a team that for a majority of their careers with this new roster have started a little bit slow in the series. And if you beat them in game 1, no big deal. They'll kind of bounce back and beat you 3-1. But they're kind of falling back into that habit where they are dropping pretty early. There's a couple games where they obviously come out of the gate swinging, but it makes me concerned for teams like the top tier, more so like Vitality, is in the bracket if you get to play them first. Like kind of jumping ahead, they play Fadeaway in the bracket right away. That's a pretty good chance for Fadeaway. Fadeaway's got a pretty annoying defense, really good play style. And if Vitality just isn't really clicking right at the beginning, like those couple games early can be all Fadeaway needs to just kind of hunker down and take the victory. So some concerns on Vitality with the way that they've been starting in their series. Obviously still a very talented team. They go 2-1 +2 game differential. Galaxy Racer, a little bit of an upset here. They do lose to Redemption. It looks like they could have had that final game in round 3, where it does go 2 overtimes. The very last one is a 142-minute overtime in game number 5. Looks like they could have had that too, but obviously I used to cast the Monkey / Galaxy Racer for the grid last season. So a little bit of fandom in that one, but yeah, surprisingly results were extremely close across the board. Everybody pretty dang solid. You're talking game differential 9-6, 8-6, 6-7, and 5-9. So Group B was pretty cutthroat. We then jump into Group C. We got Liquid, Oxygen, Fadeaway, and Team Singularity. This one was kind of all over the place as well. This is that parody of Rocket League. Nobody going 3-0. 2-1. Everybody getting at least a win. Oxygen versus Fadeaway first. Oxygen finally starting to show like we need to be considering you guys as a top 6 team. That's how everybody felt about them. If you ask all the pros and all the teams, they still consider Oxygen to be a very talented team, but the results just weren't showing. They have a pretty solid showing in their regionals. We're getting that here in the grid as well. So glad to see that mental coach is really helping them out. I want to see them continue to progress because with that much talent on that team, they should definitely be lethal. On the other side of it, you then also see Team Liquid going 2-1. They lose to Singularity right away, and I'm like, oh gosh, here we go again. And then they beat Fadeaway 3-1. They lose game 1 in OT 2-1, and then 2-0, 3-1, 2-1. And then the big surprise is they go up against Oxygen, and they lose game 1, 2-1. They lose game 2, 4-1. But then they reverse sweep Oxygen. That is a big surprise. I was not seeing that one coming. I messaged Speed immediately after, and I was like, no freaking way, man. Like, and Speed, I don't know if you're okay with me sharing this, but you're like, yeah, it's good to be on the positive side of things for once. It's been a long time, so I think they're feeling pretty good. They've got to be pretty happy. Their first match is going to be against Triple Trouble, one I think they can take, but it's going to be a fight. So Team Liquid, again, we, with a lot of these other teams, are talking about how it is going to take some time to develop new rosters, new players, whether it be Devo to Guild or Ronicky to Team Liquid. It is going to take some time to develop and figure out that playstyle. So I'm very happy for Liquid that they are able to bounce. I'm a big fan of all the players on the team. It sucks that Cookster is not a part of it anymore, but if I'm looking at it subjectively just for what they are, on paper, this could be a very talented roster. We just have to see it come to fruition. So excited to see how that one played out. But yeah, reverse sweep, man. That's probably one of the matches of the day. We then get into the fourth and final group with Group D. We got BDS, Top Blokes, Rix.GG, and Dignitas. I was pretty hopeful for Dignitas here. They showed some good things in regionals and do look like a competitive team, but this one was somewhat similar to what we got in Group B, where there was a lot of parity. Even though 3-0 and an 0-3 team in BDS and Dignitas, the matches are still very close with game differential and everything else. Round 1 starts off with BDS versus Ricks. No expectations there other than Ricks losing. BDS does hold them to 1 goal, so you were talking 10 goals to 1 in the differential. That's pretty big yikes for Ricks. Magnus, the new addition over there, doesn't go well. Figure BDS and every other team was just going to kind of steamroll through Ricks. That doesn't happen. We then go to Top Blokes and Dignitas. This is why I was pretty keen on Dignitas. I'm like, all right, you guys are looking good with apparently Jack. You're playing up to your competition. Things look solid. You go all the way to game 5. You lose an OT in game 5 in a minute in, 3-2. Not too bad of a deal. You know, like Dignitas, good for you. You come out ready to play. Looks good. You then go to the next game and Dignitas back-to-back. Not only are you playing Top Blokes, you got BDS, which is an even tougher task. This one does end in 4 instead of 5. But another overtime, and every game but one, the very last one, is a 1-goal differential. So it is a very close match until game 4, where BDS decides to almost Brazilian go 6-1. So you guys were competitive. Again, at Dignitas, they're giving us some hope. And the weird thing about this is then Dignitas goes up against Ricks in the final round, and they lose in 5. 2 overtimes, one being 4 minutes, another one being just shy of 3 minutes. And it's competitive, but like after you go as close as you do against the very top, you look like you play down to your competition, and that creates some problems. So there were some challenges and some things that were being done from that team that I wasn't really convinced on. I don't know if it was a lack of communication or just frustrations from losing and being close all day, or what the deal was for Dignitas, but that should have been a series that they won. They should have won against Ricks, but for some reason they did not, and it's unfortunate because they are now the 4 seed and have to play Guild right away. Maybe that'll benefit them. We'll find out. As for Top Blokes, 3-0 victory over Ricks. Ricks does put up a decent fight. 2-1, 3-2, and 4-3. All 1-goal games as well, with an overtime to start off at 4 minutes and 14 seconds. Every single team, and this was kind of the theme, and as you guys can see in the title of this video, as long as I remember to do it, is there is a very competitive scene happening. It's only going to get more and more competitive as these teams play against each other at a consistent rate. And this is what we've been wanting for Rocket League for a really long time. It is good to have our clear-cut favorites, our teams that we think are going to be towards the top, but middle of the pack, anywhere from like teams ranked 4th, 5th, all the way down to I think 16, depending on the day and depending on how they're playing, have a chance. And I think that's really exciting because as we get down to the wire, and when we go from the winter split to the spring split, and it goes from 24 teams to 20 teams in regionals, and points are weighted more heavily, you could see some pretty big upsets on the top 6 that make it into the World Championship. So some really exciting things here. I'm really loving this new format with the circuit system. I like the new style of the grid, how day 1 is groups for seeding, day 2 is elimination. It is a lot of content to consume, and I do want to bear in mind that with you guys that it is a lot to try to keep track of, so I'm trying to do my best for you. But even I at times get a little burnt out where I'm just like, man, I really don't care about watching Rocket League today. There's a lot of matches going on, but I still do it because I need to stay up to date. And at the end of the day, like, good Rocket League is good Rocket League, so bear in mind, we do what we can. Last but not least, we then get into the playoffs. So we've got our teams and their results, which have been displayed. With that, we then get our top seeds. So our top seeds are going to be Guild, Team Liquid, Team BDS, and Redemption. Kind of weird on that. We then get the second seeds, and those then drop down. So we got Vitality. We then have Top Blokes, Giants Gaming, and Oxygen. So some pretty heavy weights up top, assuming what is going to find themselves in the quarterfinals. Taking a look at this real quick, I assume Guild will beat Dignitas. I think Guild is actually built for it. I think they're a pretty solid team, and Devo's been doing a good job. Vitality should beat Fadeaway, but Fadeaway is also kind of a stickler. That is going to be a tough fight if Vitality does start a little bit slow. Something to pay attention to on that. Some concerns there. Fadeaway is a very frustrating team to play against. It's freaky all over again with the Veloce vibes. It's not the most exciting thing or the most entertaining thing, but they do apply really good pressure when they push up into the midfield. That transition from defense to offense is absolutely lethal. So watch out for Fadeaway. Yukio's been fitting in pretty well. Team Liquid versus Triple Trouble. Honestly, I think Triple Trouble can take this one. But Team Liquid, I don't know which version is going to show up. Are they going to be competitive, the reverse sweep kind of style against Oxygen, or are they going to be the team that kind of just rolls over and takes it? I don't know what to formulate about Team Liquid right now. It's kind of weird. Top Looks Endpoint. Top Looks should win that one. They've always had Endpoint's number for quite a while now. BDS Singularity. BDS should win that one as well. Giants versus Galaxy Racer. I think Galaxy Racer can play upset, but Giants should take this one. They've been looking absolutely hot. Redemption Wolves. I'm actually sad about this matchup. Redemption Wolves were the 2 underdogs, the 2 dark horses that I really wanted to enjoy. I wanted to see them separate and see what could happen. But because Redemption actually ends up 3-0ing, they find each other right away. So best of luck to whoever wins that one. That is the dark horse moving forward. Who's the better one, we'll find out. But I do think Redemption has been playing very well. Very aggressive, very urgent to the ball on offense. Challenge in front of the net. Extremely quick, and the cutoff rotations like no other. And paired well with demos as well. So their offense, if you're paying attention to them, expect them to challenge in the corners and in your face right away, along with demos paired with it on the back end. They've been doing a good job with it. So Redemption's been fun to watch. And then Oxygen versus Rix.gg. Oxygen should win that one pretty quick. If Oxygen plays the way we expect them to play, they should be able to close that one out early. In the finals, if I have to guess, probably BDS, and it's looking like a Guild or Top Blokes kind of week. We'll see. Maybe Vitality has that day off, come back and hit strong. But I think Guild gets a pretty good nod. I think they've been doing pretty well. Whoever wins that quarterfinal, I think between Guild and Vitality will probably find themselves up top. But I could see Guild or Vitality either or up against probably Top Blokes in that semifinal in the lower half. BDS versus Oxygen. Maybe Oxygen makes it to the finals. That could be hype. But either way, a lot of fun, exciting stuff. Hopefully this helps you out. Link to this bracket will be in the description down below if you guys would like to do your own homework. But if you have any questions, comments, concerns, as always, drop those down below. Appreciate you guys taking the time to watch the recap. Twitch.tv/Lawler in the description down below. We'll be watching these matches live starting at 10 a.m. 11 a.m. Eastern, I think is the time right. I think 11 a.m. Eastern is the timestamp for that. So come hang out with us. We'll be watching the matches all morning and afternoon. We'd love to have you. I will be there in my food coma from Thanksgiving, and happy Thanksgiving to all of you as I'm recording this video. I know it'll be weird hearing this tomorrow, but again, appreciate all the love and support, and we'll see you next time. Peace.